It started with the announcement. That's how all the drills usually begin, except this time it didn't sound like the principal's calm, slightly bored voice over the intercom. This was a man's voice. Low, shaky, urgent.
Lockdown. This is not a drill. Get to the nearest classroom. Lock the doors. Now.
I froze in the hallway for half a second, my brain trying to decide if I'd misheard, before a teacher yanked me by the arm and shoved me into her classroom. The door slammed, the lock clicked, and the blinds rattled as she yanked them shut. I was breathing fast, the kind of breath you get when you've been running, even though I hadn't moved more than a few steps. Everyone else was already in their seats, wide-eyed, silent. The only sound was the faint hum of the fluorescent lights and the occasional squeak of the teacher's shoes as she paced near the door. She didn't say anything to us, just kept glancing at the handle like she was expecting it to turn. At first, I thought it was a shooter. That's what they always say lockdowns are for. But there was something different in the air. Something that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. From somewhere down the hall I heard a sound, not gunshots, not footsteps. It was slower, heavier, like someone dragging something across the floor. Every few seconds there'd be a pause, and then the sound would start again, closer. My teacher froze, hand half raised toward her desk phone, and for a moment I thought she might tell us what was going on. Instead, she crouched down and pressed her ear to the floor, listening. When she stood up, her face was pale and she mouthed something I couldn't quite read. Something like,
"Don't move, lockdown. This is not a drill."
The dragging sound stopped right outside our classroom. I didn't breathe. I don't think anyone did. Then, the handle twitched. Just once. Like whoever or whatever was out there wanted to see if it was locked. Then came a slow, steady knock. Not the kind of knock you'd expect from someone in a hurry, but almost polite. The teacher backed away from the door, her hands shaking. I was sitting closest to the window in the door, but I didn't dare look. The knock came again, louder. Then the dragging started up once more, moving away this time. None of us moved until the sound faded completely. We sat there in silence for what felt like forever. My phone buzzed in my pocket, and I almost jumped out of my skin. It was a text from my friend in another class. "Do not look at them. Keep your head down." I wanted to reply, to ask what he meant, but my teacher suddenly hissed for everyone to put their phones away. She didn't explain, just held a finger to her lips. Then the screaming started, not from our hallway, but somewhere deeper in the building. High-pitched, panicked, and then cut off, like someone had just pressed a mute button. The dragging sound followed, echoing faintly through the vents. I realized then it wasn't the sound of something being pulled. It was footsteps, wet footsteps. I could hear drops of liquid hitting the tile, spaced perfectly with each step. The lights flickered once, twice, and then went out. The room plunged into darkness. Someone in the back started crying quietly, and I could hear the teacher moving toward them to shush them. But then she froze. I knew why, because the footsteps were back, right outside the door again, the faint wet sound, slow, deliberate. This time, they didn't try the handle, they just stood there. I could feel it, the way you can tell when someone's staring at you from across a room, even if you can't see them. Then, after a long, unbearable pause, something scraped across the door. Fingernails, I think. Long ones. They dragged from the top of the window down to the metal bottom, the sound like a knife across glass. My skin crawled. A faint whisper came through the crack in the door. I couldn't make out the words, but my stomach turned just hearing them. It wasn't English. Or maybe it was, just wrong somehow. Twisted. Everyone in the room was frozen in place, but I swear I could hear our heartbeats, all of them pounding in unison, and then, just like before, it moved away. The wet steps faded, the sound slipping into another hallway. The lights came back on a few seconds later and the intercom crackled. A different voice this time. Calm. Too calm.
Lockdown over. Please proceed to the nearest exit.
But the teacher didn't move. She kept us in there another 20 minutes until the real principal's voice came through, panicked, telling everyone to stay put. When the police finally let us out, the hallways smelled faintly of copper. There were streaks on the floor, like someone had mopped but missed a few spots. I glanced toward the far end of the hall before we turned the corner, and for a split second I saw something. Just a shape. Tall, thin, standing perfectly still at the end of the corridor. Watching. I always thought lockdown drills were boring, just sitting on the floor, lights off, pretending to hide from some imaginary threat. But that day, it wasn't imaginary. It was 7th period science, and the first thing I noticed was how quiet the hallway was. No lockers slamming, no kids talking, just silence. Then the loudspeaker crackled on. Not the usual principal's voice. This was deeper, slower.
Hello, students.
Hello, students, it said. The whole class froze. It wasn't a teacher I recognized. Our teacher, Mr. Palmer, walked to the door, peeking into the hallway. A second later, the voice returned.
Don't be scared. I'd just like to see your faces.
Don't be scared. I just want to see your faces. Mr. Palmer shut the door fast and turned the lock. Everyone down, now, he whispered. That's when the official lockdown announcement came on, but it was rushed, almost panicked.
Lockdown, lockdown, this is not a drill.
Lockdown, lockdown, this is not a drill. The intercom cut out mid-sentence. No one moved. We all just stared at each other in the dim light, trying to process what we'd heard. Then, the intercom came back. But this time there was breathing. Slow, shaky breathing. Way too close to the microphone.
I've been here all along, every day, watching you. You never noticed, didn't you?
Someone in the back started crying. Mr. Palmer whispered for us to stay quiet, but the air felt so heavy I could barely breathe. I heard footsteps outside our classroom. Slow. Heavy. They stopped right at our door. Whoever it was. They tried the handle. It rattled. Locked. The intercom popped again.
I have keys. I can open any door I want.
I looked at Mr. Palmer. His face was pale, and he was shaking his head slightly, mouthing, "Stay still." The footsteps moved on. For a few minutes, it was dead silent. Then the intercom blared loud static, making us all flinch, and through the static came something faint, like a child laughing. Then the man's voice again.
Do you know who I am? I've been fixing your lockers, sweeping your floors, every single day. I hear what you say about me. I know which of you are mean.
My stomach dropped. It was the janitor, Mr. Griffin. I'd seen him almost every day since 6th grade. Quiet guy, always in the background. But hearing his voice like that, it didn't sound like him anymore. We heard another set of footsteps, this time running. A loud banging echoed down the hall. Maybe a door being kicked. Somewhere, a girl screamed. Then the intercom clicked again, and we heard muffled crying, like he was holding the mic next to someone's face.
Say hi to your friends.
He whispered. The girl sobbed harder.
If you stop crying, I won't use the knife.
A couple of kids in my class were silently shaking now. My own hands were numb. Police sirens wailed faintly outside, growing louder, but the intercom didn't stop.
You can't keep me out. The halls are mine. The keys are mine.
Somewhere far down the hall, we heard a loud crash. Maybe a door breaking, then yelling, boots pounding. The intercom cut off mid-breath. For the next minute, all we could hear was chaos in the distance. Doors slamming, officers shouting, something heavy falling. Then silence again. When the lockdown was finally lifted, we found out what happened. Mr. Griffin had gotten in through a maintenance entrance that didn't set off alarms. He'd locked several exits from the inside and cut power to some of the cameras before taking over the intercom in the front office. They found him in the East Wing, holding a kitchen knife, standing over a kid from 7th grade. The police said they got there just in time. They took him away in handcuffs, but I can still hear his voice sometimes. That slow, deliberate whisper. I've been here all along. The first thing I noticed was how quiet the hall was. No chatter, no slamming lockers, just the hum of the fluorescent lights overhead. It was 5th period English, a Thursday in March. Mrs. Reeves was in the middle of explaining Macbeth when the PA system beeped.
This is a lockdown. Repeat, lockdown. This is not a drill.
Mrs. Reeves froze mid-sentence. She didn't even finish the word Macbeth. Then she moved fast. Faster than I thought she could, to the door, turning the lock and yanking the blinds down. Phone's off. Get down, she whispered. We pushed our desks toward the corner, away from the windows. My heart was thudding in my ears so hard I almost didn't hear it. Footsteps in the hallway. Slow, deliberate. The PA crackled again, but it wasn't the principal this time.
Hello, Central Eye. I hope you're all safe in your rooms. I wouldn't want to trip over you.
A couple of kids in the class looked at each other, wide-eyed. I knew that voice didn't belong to any teacher. He kept talking.
Do you know how many blind spots your cameras have? I do. I've walked these halls more times than you've taken tests. Every corner, every stairwell.
I felt a cold drop in my stomach. The footsteps outside got louder, closer. Mrs. Reeves pressed a finger to her lips, eyes sharp, and mouthed.
Do not move. I think he's coming.
The handle on our door rattled. It was locked. He chuckled softly through the PA.
Some of these locks are easy. I've got the keys to most of them. Wonder which one you're behind.
He moved on. We could hear the squeak of his shoes fade down the hall. Somewhere in the building, someone screamed, short, sharp, cut off too quickly. I pulled my phone out, hiding the glow under my hoodie. There were already messages in the group chat. Kayla, who is that voice? Tom, he was just outside my room. Jess, OMG, he has a knife. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped the phone. Then the PA clicked again.
You know the funny thing about high school? You all think you're invisible. You think the people cleaning up after you don't notice. I've noticed. I've been noticing for years.
Mrs. Reeves whispered. Custodian. It made sense. Someone who had the keys, knew the halls, could move around without anyone stopping him. We heard another door slam somewhere nearby. Heavy footsteps. A loud bang, like metal hitting the floor. Then nothing. The PA crackled.
Some of you are very quiet. That's good, but quiet won't save you.
I felt the air shift. That strange pressure when someone's standing just on the other side of the door. The handle moved again, slower this time, like he was just testing it. Then he knocked, 3 times, softly. Mrs. Reeves held her breath. I think we all did. The knock stopped. The footsteps faded again. But then, muffled through the wall, came a sound that made my skin crawl. Humming. A slow, tuneless hum, like someone working in an empty hallway. Suddenly, pounding footsteps, yelling, A voice, not his, shouting, "Police, down on the ground!" The PA burst to life with a sharp burst of static, then his voice again, "You're lucky, all of you, not tonight." We stayed locked down for another 20 minutes before an officer finally opened our door. He told us to keep our eyes forward and walk straight out. In the hall, I caught a glimpse, just for a second, of the man they were leading away in handcuffs. He was wearing the school's maintenance jacket. His face was calm, too calm. As we passed, he looked straight at me, and he smiled. That night, lying in bed, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing that soft knock on the door, and I couldn't shake the feeling that he hadn't been trying to get in. It was like he was letting me know that he already had.